path to greatness. For most, the attempt is enough. But every once in a great while, a pile of potential blossoms into the personification of excellence. When such a role model, like two-time world all-around champion Shannon Miller, competes on the same apparatus as America's Olympic hopefuls, well, everyone's efforts step up a tiny notch in the hopes that one day they too might become supreme in their sport. Today, over 500 youngsters from 19 teams have made an annual pilgrimage to the city that will host the 1996 Olympic Games. Atlanta, Georgia, the crossroads of the South, is the temporary home of many of the finest gymnasts in the country as they've returned for the Kodak Invitational. Athletes and spectators alike are in awe of this building where today's events take place. The Gwinnett Civic and Cultural Center is a landmark of utility and design. Built in 1992, its convention center can accommodate the 4 Olympic events and a crowd of 1,300 for this celebration of sport. Hi, everybody. I'm John Neighbor, and today's competition features 4 individual events, the all-around, and a team championship. Joining me is Maura Driscoll, and I have to ask you, Maura, what effect will this contest have on the elite gymnasts from the United States?
Well, I think it will be an excellent tune-up meet for many of the elite gymnasts who are preparing for some big international meets that are upcoming. It's a chance for them to try some new skills, take a few risks in order to upgrade their routines. But for the junior national stars, it gives them a chance to compete with some of the top gymnastic names from this country and some other countries as well.
Now, Shannon Miller has to be favored in the individual events, but she can't win the team title without some help from her teammates.
That's correct, but she is an integral part of that Dynamo Gymnastics Club. She's the most decorated gymnast in U.S. history. Shannon is an exceptional and precise athlete who knows how to hit when the whole world is watching. But you should watch for another Dynamo Gymnastics Club member. Her name is Mariana Webster. She was number 10 in the all-around at the U.S. Championships, and she's a senior national team member. Also from the Cincinnati Gymnastics Academy, watch for J.C. Phelps. J.C. was the youngest member on the U.S. World Championship team that brought home the silver medal from Dortmund, Germany. And her elder teammate, Amanda Borden, is actually a 2-time World Championship team member, but she'll only be performing an exhibition routine tonight. But with names like these, what an individual contest, but also a fierce battle between the Cincinnati Gymnastics Club and the Dynamo Gymnastics Club.
I should also mention that there are athletes representing the elite programs in Australia and Canada competing here tonight. The final session has been broken into 2 flights, an A and a B flight. The A flight has already turned in some pretty exciting performances. So now it's time for the B group to march into the arena. As you might expect, all eyes are upon Shannon Miller, the winner of 5 medals in Barcelona. Her team is up in just a moment. Stay with us as we return to more action here at the Kodak Invitational. Welcome back just outside of Atlanta, Georgia for the Kodak Invitational. John Neighbor. Maura Driscoll as the B group is now at the apparatus getting ready for their first rotation. This is Claire Krebs, a 15-year-old from Melbourne, getting ready to mount the beam. She represents the Kangaroo Squad, elite-level gymnast from down under.
Remember, John, on the balance beam, since this is a team competition, this event is absolutely crucial. They often say that the team that stays on the beam is the team that wins the meet.
The top 4 out of every 5 team scores will count. The teams have to designate which 5 athletes are representing them at this meet. And they'll all be competing together. They've each had a warm-up and a one-touch on the apparatus. And now Claire is chalking her feet, getting ready for the mount.
And again, as the rotation goes, they're allowed to drop the lowest score in case anyone has a major break or a fall. In this meet particularly, each team could submit their own competition order, which is a luxury that's not usually afforded in most competitions. This is one of Claire's strongest events. She finished 2nd on the balance beam at the '93 National Championships.
Acknowledging the judges, here it begins.
And a round-off layout mount, very difficult, but you must see that you have to pull up your body. She let her shoulder go, so she had a little bit of a break. The balance beam is 4 inches wide and 4 feet off the ground. And the gymnasts are going to be combining lots of jumps and turns. That's how they get their combination bonus. This is a requirement. It's called a flight series. Acrobatic elements, back handspring, Layout, step out. 3 elements in a row.
She bobbled a bit there on that easy transition.
This is called a reverse planche. As you can see, it requires tremendous amount of back flexibility. One thing to note on this event with this competition is there's all sorts of events going on, every event at once, and it can be very distracting when you're on the balance beam and someone's floor exercise music blasts in. She seems to be moving kind of slowly, not as deliberate and as exact as she needs to be. Taking a pause before her dismount. A round-off double back, and she really didn't have a lot of rotation on that. She landed way low. A pretty good routine, but I know that she can do much better than that. The dismount really hurt her. That's a big deduction.
So Claire Cribbs, the 15-year-old from Melbourne, gets some last-minute reinforcement from her coaching on the sideline. Let's take a look again at some of that routine.
This is another look at her flight series, a back handspring into immediate layout, step out, step out. And a good landing, but then soon after that, she had a little bobble and a dance element. Sometimes that happens. You get the big thing out of the way, and then you forget to focus.
Oh, she doesn't seem too distraught over this.
Well, she stayed on, and a lot of times that's where the sigh of relief comes in.
Let's take a look at her dismount once more.
Now, this is a round-off double back, and you can see she doesn't get all the way around. She has to crunch down very low. She doesn't get her arms all the way up. She pulls her knees around, has to cowboy it, and way low. She ends in a deep knee squat.
Okay, now we go over to the floor exercise. And performing there is Sunny Meduna, representing the Dynamo B squad. Her points will not count, will not help Shannon Miller in her team effort. But Coach Steve Nono is nonetheless interested in this performance.
A 2.5 twist, her first tumbling pass. That is a C move. In gymnastics, skills are valued on a scale from A to E, A being the most basic element and E being the most difficult element. I usually think of the E-ticket at Disneyland. That gets you on the fast ride, the high-flying, high-speed rides, and that's just the same thing in gymnastics.
The score for Claire Cribbs, by the way, a 9.05.
Sunny Meduna would normally be part of the A-team for the Dynamo Gymnastics Club, but she just came back from the Pacific Alliance meet, so Steve Nuno told me he's resting her up a bit. That's called a Rudy, a 1.5 twist into an immediate layout. A lot of the gymnasts are doing front tumbling because in the code of points, it's worth a lot. That was an E move. Floor exercise is a routine where you can express your personality through your dance and through your gymnastics. And you need to take a breather before the last tumbling pass also. For Sunny, it's a double full. Again, she has a watered-down routine. She's capable of much more big gymnastics, but this is just kind of an exercise for her.
And so that completes the Dynamo B squad's performance on the floor exercise.
This is her second tumbling pass. It's called a Rudy, and you'll see a lot of these tonight. A lot of the gymnasts are performing them. It's a front flip with 1.5 twists in a completely stretched position. She had some form breaks there, but again, it's an E move, which means that the gymnast gets 2/10 of bonus for doing that one skill. Just to remind you, routines don't automatically start out worth a 10.0. In this meet, they're going by what's called age group rules. They'll start out with a 9.6, and it's up to the gymnast to perform certain skills and elements to raise the value, optimally, of course, to a 10.0. And every event has special requirements, and routines are judged according to those special requirements.
Is it possible for an age grouper to get a 10.0 without doing the same routine that we get a 10.0 for a senior, for an elite?
If you manipulate the code of points well enough, that comes in coaching. This is another look at one of her tumbling passes. It's her double full, her last tumbling pass. A nice job. Again, it's a watered-down routine. She's just kind of going through the motions a little here. She was at U.S. Championships this year. She finished 14th all-around, which qualified her for the World Team Trials, but Steve Nuno decided to keep his gymnast out of that meet.
Okay, let's go back over to the beam area where Zena McLaughlin, Claire Cribb's teammate, is about to perform on the beam. She's a 13-year-old out of Melbourne. Won the all-around at the 1994 Junior National Juniors in her country.
At the 94 Victorian Championships, she was first all-around and first on this event. So this is a good event for her, but as a 13-year-old, I mean, experience is so important on the balance beam, so you can't expect the same amount of poise from a youngster on this event. And we're seeing these mounts again. It's a round-off layout step up to a great landing.
The score for Meduna over on the floor, by the way, was a 9.425.
She's moving through a leap combination. Again, the way that the gymnast can get bonus is through D and E elements and bonus combination, combining tricks. And here's a combination. Back handspring, layout, step out, back handspring. And she let the shoulder go a little. It's so important on the balance beam to stay completely tight, to pull up in your middle is what they say. It's your center of gravity. This is an amazing display of flexibility and balance.
Is that a one-arm handstand?
It was for a brief moment.
Wow.
She's extremely flexible, and it's so pretty to watch gymnasts who are this flexible because it's all about lines.
She's keeping her forehead high, not really staring down at her feet that much.
That is something to look for, though. And in an inexperienced athlete on this event, it's kind of uncomfortable for them to keep their eyes off of the balance beam. She showed us another display of flexibility, getting ready for her dismount. A round-up double full, a hop on the landing, a little off to the side, but a pretty good routine.
Was that going off on the side intentional?
No, she should be really lined up with the balance beam, but since she was twisting, she kind of turned off to the side.
Here comes the one-arm handstand. I was shocked to watch it.
Now just imagine the amount of strength this takes as well. Not only the flexibility issue, but the strength. This is sort of a plant, and she's holding her entire body up on one arm. That's a very unique move.
And the dismount.
Let's watch her double full again. It's a round off. She does one back flip with two twists. She crosses her legs in the air and takes a little hop on the landing. But a nice job.
Zena McLaughlin from Melbourne completes her performance. The Kangaroos are working towards a team title. We'll be back with more when our coverage returns to Atlanta. We're back at the Gwinnett Civic and Cultural Center. John Neighbor and Maura Driscoll as we're watching the first rotation of the B flight of gymnasts. This is Mariana Webster, a 15-year-old high school freshman on the vault. She's already completed her first vault. The higher of the two scores will count towards the team and the all-around totals.
And I believe Steve Nuno told me she'll be doing a Yurchenko with a full twist, and that's a round-off entry vault. And then she'll be doing one flip with one complete twist.
Steve Nuno, her coach, on the near side of the vault approach.
Again, on this event, what you're looking for is height off of the horse and distance away from the horse. Here she goes, a round up before the board and a full twisting Yurchenko. She was a little low. She got a pretty good amount of distance, but her first vault was actually Yurchenko with a completely stretched layout with no twist.
Well, let's take a look one more time.
Again, what the judges are looking for, height off of the horse and distance away. Let's see what kind of repulsion she gets off the horse. She does a back handspring. She pushes off the horse, starts to twist. Her body's straight. She has to pike down because she wasn't rotating that well, and therefore she had to step forward. Took a hop there. Now that vault is not worth a 10.0, so even if she did it perfectly, she would not be able to score a perfect 10. This is her first vault. It was a Yurchenko in a completely stretched position, a laid out Yurchenko. That is only worth a 9.6. So even if it was done perfectly, that's the highest she could score.
And it received a 9.025 for her first vault. And so if the second vault scores higher, that's the score she'll carry with her. This is her teammate, Mina Kim, a 13-year-old. A member of the 94-95 junior national team.
Mina is just an incredible little gymnast. She finished 5th at the Junior National Championships, and I think you should probably remember her name. She's going to be doing a handspring front in the pike position. Again, it's not worth it's not worth the 10.0. She didn't get much distance away from the horse, but I don't know how she could because she's so slight.
She got a lot of height, though.
She did. Now, there's a chance Steve Nuno may be telling her that she should try this vault, the same vault, with a half twist, which is a little bit more valuable. It's worth a 9.9. Here's another look at it. She gets her heels up behind her head. Nice tight pike position, but she's so close to the horse. She needs to push harder through her arms to get that further distance.
And the second vault for Mariana Webster, an 8.750, so she will keep the 9.025 into the all-around competition.
Again, the reason why that score was so low, if you couldn't tell at home, is because that vault is not valued at a perfect 10. It's only worth a 9.6.
Mina Kim's final attempt at the vault coming up. Both these young ladies represent the Dynamo team on which Shannon Miller will be competing in just a moment.
Let's see if she adds a twist to this. A handspring front pike. No, she slipped her hands there. Wasn't able to even push at all and couldn't even bring the somersault around.
Wonder what Steve tells her to get her to nod and acknowledge immediately.
He's basically telling her what went wrong there, even though she knows, and she's kind of agreeing, saying, I know what I did. I mean, you can really feel exactly what happened in the air if you have that body awareness. Let's take another look at it here. We can see exactly what happened. She has a good, strong run. She approaches the horse. She slipped. Did you see her right hand slipped? She wasn't able to get the full push off the horse and obviously under-rotated it.
So she knew during the somersault she wasn't going to be able to bring it all the way around.
And you have to make a split-second decision. If she were going to do a half twist on that, it would have been much more dangerous. So she had to make that decision in the air.
Really? She decided in the air not to twist?
Well, it's depending on what kind of vault that she called. If she called a half twist at the beginning and it was unsafe to do, then she probably could have decided in the air not to do it.
9.0 on the first vault. Now, if we take a look over at the uneven bars, Samantha Muehlman was the second performer for the Cincinnati team. And, she's an 18-year-old high school senior.
Samantha is a member of the 94-95 senior national team. Mary Lee Tracy from the Cincinnati Gymnastics Academy has 4 members on the senior national team. Here comes one of her release moves, a piked Jaeger. That is an E move, high flying, just like I said. It's worth 2/10 of bonus. It's a requirement on this event that the gymnasts have 2 release moves. And these pirouette combinations into a double back dismount. A decent routine for Sam.
Okay, we'll bring you those scores in just a moment. We'll take a short break. Please stay with us as the Kodak Invitational continues here outside of the host city of the 1996 Olympic Games. Welcome back to the sport of women's gymnastics. Shannon Miller is, without a question, the most highly decorated woman America has ever produced in this sport. She's attempting now her first of 2 vaults here at the Kodak Invitational.
Again, Shannon's working on a number of new skills, and one of them is upgrading her vault. I think for her first vault, she'll probably do a Yurchenko with a full twist, which is only worth a 9.8, but she's working on doing a 1.5 twisting Yurchenko.
Big smile to the judges, and here we go.
Again, look for that round-off entry. And there's the full with a perfect landing. That is her signature vault. This was popularized at the 92 Olympics when she nailed that at the Olympic Games.
All right, now you got to keep
Again,
that
she had a tight body.
Okay, we're going to stay with a fault. All right, nice clean form. Try not to land with your chest down so low and really get up off the horse before you turn your body. All right, now straight body handspring, straight up, and then full straight. Okay, let's go.
We're going to take another look at it here. She does a round-off entry. Now, she does this near perfect. Back handspring, she pushes off the horse, starts to twist. Looks like she twisted a little early there, but she had a really good landing. What Steve was telling her was not to have her chest too low. She wants to lift up when she lands. And she's going to be doing the same vault. Again, it's only worth a 9.8, but she does it pretty well, so.
She's getting ready for her second vault. Her coach, Steve Nuno, was giving her some advice as she was walking back down the runway.
Do the same vault.
Same vault, he
He
says.
just told the judges, and it's a requirement to tell the judges what to expect, because if she does a different vault, they will judge her
Come on now.
for the vault that was called.
So her first vault scored a 9.4.
And the same vault, push forward. That was a nicer vault. She took a little hop on the landing, but a lot of distance, and she got a push off the horse before she started to twist.
I needed that vault before we could do another 1.5, okay? All right, grips on, ready to go. Right?
Take another look at it here. Again, she does a round off before the board. A back handspring pushes off the horse, and a nice full twist with a completely stretched body position and a nice landing.
Yeah, I saw.
Shannon is such a tough competitor.
Yeah, it's okay.
She does not like to bobble when her feet hit the ground. And she didn't there.
Wonderful form, ending with the flourish. She waits alongside Coach Steve Nuno for her scores.
And the reason why she's upgrading her vault, just so you know, is that the vault she was working on is going to be devalued in June. So she needs to upgrade if she wants to be really in the thick of things during the '96 Olympics.
So she and the Dynamo A squad march to the background to rest up a little bit before their next performance. Scores for Mina Kim, 9.0 was the high one. Shannon Miller got a 9.575 on her second vault. That's the mark she'll carry with her for the team. Much has been written about the sacrifices made by today's young athletes, but if you followed these girls for a day, you just might be surprised by how normal they can be.
Well, John, it's true. They are quite normal. On the night before a competition, the Dynamo Gymnastics Club usually goes out for a team dinner. And let me tell you, you would be amazed at how much food those little bodies can consume. This is a time for the team to really loosen up and have fun. Then it comes time to vote on where to go next. Go bowling or go to the mall. But first, the hat is passed around so they can pay the dinner tab. And how much can the Dynamo spend on chow? $100? And so it's off to the mall.
9 o'clock, you're going to be right here. It means you have 45 minutes. Any strange-looking characters, avoid them. Break.
And if you want to know what they're shopping for, just ask Shannon Miller. From perfume to accessories, even jewelry.
Do you want to see an engagement ring or anything?
Jenny Thompson even has time to squeeze in an autograph or two. And Shannon Miller managed to find the perfect pair of jeans. Does Coach Nuno feel like a father when he takes his girls to the mall?
I don't try to play the father figure because whenever I have to get rid of them, I have to have them have fathers. So they can reprimand them, because I can't.
And the hidden talents which these girls have are astounding. Can Shannon Miller keep up?
I'm not that talented.
While the girls leave the mall in high spirits and go into the rainy Georgia night, they know morning comes early on competition days.
Hello.
Hey, Steve, it's the alarm. It's the alarm, Steve.
Ooh, it's from Nippy. Time to get going, Shannon. Let's go. Let's get moving. Everybody in the van, let's go.
And so off they go into the rent-a-van for a trip to the gym and their pre-competition warm-up. And how does Coach Nuno get them motivated in the morning after a night of power shopping and grazing?
Play a little more music, try to pump them up a little bit and get them motivated.
With American gymnasts being expected to perform so well, it's nice to be reminded they're just young kids. Let's take a look at our standings after one of 4 rotations being completed. Cincinnati is leading the team battle over the Australian delegation, the Koala squad. The Dynamo A team, with Shannon Miller is currently in third place, followed by Caroli's and the host club of Atlanta. We'll be back. Welcome back to the Kodak Invitational. John Neighbor and Maura Driscoll. As we look at our standings after one rotation, the Cincinnati team is leading over the representatives from Australia. They're in second place ahead of Shannon Miller's squad, the Dynamo A team, followed by Caroli's and the host club of Atlanta. Now, we talked about the A and the B groups. Well, the A group turned in a great performance in the second rotation. That came at the hands of Rebecca Stoyle, a 15-year-old out of Adelaide, Australia. She got a 9.7 on the bars, so we were watching her closely when she did this beam routine.
And this is one of her strongest events. She's probably their top all-arounder. Front onto the beam, very difficult. You need to know where you are in the air because it's a blind move. Rebecca has very pretty lines, nice flexibility, and here's an example. Just amazing. She's getting ready for her flight acrobatic series. A back handspring into an immediate layout step out, back handspring, boom, on the landing. Perfect execution. She has very nice amplitude. 3 former Soviet coaches are now coaching in Australia, and it's very obvious. The Australian team has become known for great physical condition and body line. Rebecca is a great example of that.
Now, the koalas were wearing pink during this rotation, as they were earlier, and really an eye-catching from the spectators' point of view. They were able to note that there's certainly something good going on there.
That was a front on the beam, very similar to her mount, but she did it running on the beam. Again, the way to get bonus on this event is to combine D and E moves and special connections. She's setting up for her dismount. She's going to do a double back off of the balance beam, a round up to immediate double back. A little low, but she pulls it up, stands it up, and a nice job for Rebecca.
And so she earned a 9.55 on that routine. So Rebecca keeping the koalas in the team battle and keeping herself in the all-around competition as well. Great scores on the first 2 of her 4 events. And so now we rejoin our action as we're over on the bars. And this is Mariana Webster, a 15-year-old born in Joplin, Missouri. Now hails from Oklahoma City with the Nuno squad.
And she knows how to swing. This is her favorite event. And she's going to do 2 release moves, which is a requirement. Here comes one of them. It's called a Takachev, a reverse hack. And when I say release move, it means obviously letting go of the bar and then re-grasping. And there's another one, a straddle back to handstand. Mariana has a bright future. If last year's results were a great indicator, there's a pike in, layout out. It's an E move, 2 tenths of bonus, a very nice routine. And there's no deduction, in case you were wondering, for that crash pad. That's allowed according to these age group rules.
Mostly on that mat, you know? All right, good job. That was a much better counter swing.
We're going to see her release move again from a pirouette. Again, that's a combination that makes this more valuable. Nice and high, caught out away from the bar, which is exactly how you want to do it. She swings nicely, a little leg separation there. There's her second release move, a straddle back to handstand. She was a little short from the handstand, so it won't be worth as much. And now she's getting ready for her dismount. She's doing 2 flips backwards. She pikes on the first somersault and then lays her body out in a completely stretched position. And here it comes, a pike, and then you see that she straightens out. A little hop on the landing, but it's hard to tell if the mat caused that or not.
Steve Nuno in the background had both his arms upraised in a sign of victory. This is Mina Kim. Very small young lady, but boy, she's a powerhouse on this uneven parallel bars.
And wait till you see how effortlessly she works her way through this routine. She will be doing the same release move, in fact, as Mariana Webster.
By the way, Webster's marks on uneven bars, 9.675. Good score for the Dynamo A team.
A solid score for Mariana. Again, she finished 5th at the Junior National Championships, a name you'll want to remember. It's interesting to note how she has to make the transition to high bar because it's so far away from her. And she just swings along, doing pirouette combinations. And here comes her release move, a Takachev, the other direction that Mariana did it. She's swinging very nicely. And there she has to reach to get to the high bar.
Little hip hop.
Wait till you see her dismount. It's a double layout in a completely stretched position to a perfect landing. What a beautiful dismount and a terrific routine for little Mina Kim.
Oh, that was beautiful. That was gorgeous routine, Mina. Everything to a handstand. Good job.
What are the chances Mina will be a medalist at the Olympics?
Well,
Could she make that U.S. team?
she could make that U.S. team, but let's take another look at this dismount. We don't want to miss it. It's a double layout. Her body is completely straight in the air, and she nails the landing. I really can't see any improvement on that skill. I mean, it was just beautiful. But the interesting thing about Mina is that she's 13 years old. You must be 15 during the Olympic year. She's about 2 weeks shy. And
So she'll be denied the chance to compete because of her age.
well, that's a possibility, but Steve Nuno is working on that.
Now we move our attention over to the balance beam. Christy Leachy has just mounted the beam. She's on the Cincinnati squad, who is leading after one rotation.
Christy is just 15 years old. She finished 19th at the U.S. Championships. She's on the senior national team. And her flight series, 3 layouts in a row. Great job. Nice and solid. She had a great season in '94. One of Mary Lee Tracy's and Steve Elliott's senior national team members. They've done an amazing job with the Cincinnati Gymnastics Academy.
The marks for Mina Kim just came in on the bars, 9.775. Great score.
And it's a switch side leap. Those things are so much more difficult than they look. Those are the skills that you really have to maintain your focus and concentration. That's called a polka. Very, very difficult. A straddle jump with a full turn. It's so hard to keep your body straight up and not have the temptation of leaning forward and taking you off the beam. A round-off layout with her feet together. She had a problem there because her hips got out of line and so went her body. Getting ready for a dismount here. A round-off double back. A little step in the landing, but a nice job. She had a lot of height on that dismount.
Christy placed 12th in the all-around competition at the U.S. Olympic Festival in 1994, that event in St. Louis.
Christy's older sister, Karen, was on the senior national team last year, and she is on the Cincinnati club with her sister.
I think their mother is a gymnast, too.
I believe she teaches classes at the gym. We're going to take a look at her round-off layout. This is the only break she had in the exercise. See, she gets nice height. Her feet are together. She lands, and her hips go off to the side. Her shoulder was out of a line, and so then she had to kind of get a little check going there and pull herself up.
So Christy's waiting for the score on the balance beam. The final performer for the Cincinnati squad will be J.C. Phelps, who represented the U.S. on the national squad at the World Team Championships in Germany in November of '94, 6th in the all-around at the recent U.S. Championships, and 5th in 3 individual events.
JC is an up-and-comer. She's a legitimate contender for the '96 Olympic team. I really like JC's poise for such a young athlete. She's just 15 years old, as you mentioned, the youngest member on the U.S. World Championship team, and she was like ice there. Totally composed, very consistent, very impressive. She does a front on, and that's very rare.
Wow.
That's really going to hurt her chances because she really had a good shot at the all-around tonight. Like I said, she's doing some new skills. This is one that she's done before. It's 3 layouts in a row. 1, 2, 3. And she came back really well from that fall. That's very tough to do. It's a big psych out, obviously, when you fall off on your mount. It's a true testament to JC's toughness.
The score came in for Christy Leachy in the beam at a 9.45.
JC is referred to as the frog on this event because of her special poses. Again, she has nice lines and nice expression through her dance, which again is very unique for a young 15-year-old.
I see the poise, I see the class, I don't see the frog.
Watch this combination. Front tuck, back handspring, layout, feet together. Again, the judges are looking for the consecutive connection there. Jump pass, and she seems to be moving well. Big disappointment that she fell up on her mount, though.
That'll hurt not only her team's chances, but of course her own chances for an all-around contest against Shannon Miller.
As far as the team competition goes, they definitely count on including her score. And this is her dismount, back handspring, double back, a little low, but a nice job.
Let's take a look at that mount one more time.
It looks to me that she's a little off to the side. She seems to miss her front foot, and she just simply falls off. Here, and see, her feet sort of slipped off to the side. Again, this is a totally blind move. You don't know where you are in the air until your feet hit the ground. And this is her layout combination. She does 3 layouts in a row. Most people can't fit that much on one 15-foot beam, but JC seems to be okay. Getting some words of encouragement from head coach Mary Lee Tracy.
Now let's go over to the uneven bars, where Shannon Miller is getting ready to close out the rotation for her team, the Dynamo A squad.
This is a totally new routine for Shannon Miller, using some old skills but combining them differently. Here's her first release combination, a hop full, totally releases her hands into an immediate ginger or a backflip with a half twist. Shannon is so beautiful on this event. Her legs are always together. Her toes are always pointed. There's her third release move. We're going to see one more right there. Didn't go to the handstand, which is unusual for Shannon. I think she might be a little tired. Getting ready for her dismount. She's going to try to do a full out, but she seemed to put her twist on the first somersault and took a few steps on the landing. Seemed a little tired there.
Oh, Nuno doesn't seem to be too disappointed, though Shannon seems a little bit frustrated.
She's definitely a perfectionist. There's her pirouette combination. Here comes a Tkachev or a reverse hecht. She lets go of the bar, regrasps it again, and then she's going to straddle back and catch the low bar. Now, normally she'd like to land that directly in the handstand. She was a little short of the handstand. And again, her dismount, she wants to do the twist on the second somersault, but she kind of mingled it all together. So it's not worth an E, it's probably worth a D in this case. See, she starts to twist right there and takes a few steps back on the landing.
So Shannon Miller takes a stumble. The score for J.C. Phelps on the beam was 9.20. We'll bring you Miller's marks when we return for more of the Kodak Invitational. Welcome back to the Kodak Invitational. This is Zena McLaughlin, 13-year-old out of Melbourne.
You remember, this was the flexible one on the balance beam. She's going to open up her tumbling with 2 whipbacks through to a double tuck. There they go, 1, 2, and she anticipates the landing a little. Tried to stick it. She's a spunky little performer, and the floor exercise is a great event, again, to express your personality through your gymnastics and through your dance. And what we're looking for is explosive and powerful tumbling skills and pretty graceful dance. Here's her second tumbling pass. 2.5 twists. A nice job. She's really good at twisting in the air. And it's a chance to highlight your individual skills through your dance. Creative choreography and music selection are paramount on this event.
She earned a 9.3 on beam, so let's see what if she'll be able to top that here.
And her last tumbling pass, 3 front handsprings into a front layout. And a solid performance, I think, for Zena.
Good job, Zena. By the way, the score for Shannon Miller over on bars was a 9.8. That was in the last segment before commercial, and that was kind of a generous score.
I think it was, because she had a pretty significant break on her dismount. And a look at her last tumbling run. Again, front tumbling. 3 front handsprings in a row into an immediate front layout. Front tumbling is very popular this year, and over the past 2 years since the 92 Olympics, when the new code came out. Code of points is like the gymnastics Bible.
9.5, the official mark for Zena McLaughlin. She doesn't seem as pleased as perhaps she might be. I thought that was a pretty good routine. Now we move over to the balance beam, and this is Maria Taylor representing the host club, the Atlanta School of Gymnastics. Maria's a 15-year-old.
Round off layout, step out onto the beam. Maria's one of 2 elite gymnasts at the Atlanta School of Gymnastics. And here's her flight series, 2 layouts, Again, her hips came out of line and her body fell off. That's the way it goes. You have to be so focused and keeping your center of gravity directly over that 4-inch balance beam. Again, the Atlanta School of Gymnastics has been running this event for 21 years. Spoke to Tom Cook, and he says he has a great booster club. They really run the whole thing. The Parents Club helps a lot.
I would bet the excitement here in Atlanta with the Olympics just a year away would make a participation in Olympic sports just that much more fun.
And the reason why this event was started years ago was to bring high-level gymnastics to the state of Georgia and to the area of Atlanta to really raise awareness. And I think they've done that. They've accomplished that over the years.
Maria Taylor on your screen. Placed third in the all-around at the 1994 Level 10 Nationals. Second place on this event, the balance beam.
As you would imagine, too, John, this event next year, since it is an annual event, could be a great preview for the 96 Olympic Games, which will be right here in Atlanta. Here's her dismount, a double full.
Okay, back on the floor now. We're looking at Claire Cribbs. We saw her earlier. She's one of the kangaroos. Oh, tough landing.
Didn't quite make it around on that double back. Again, the Australian gymnasts we're seeing have some Soviet influence, and it's really noticeable in their dance and expression, amplitude, execution, all of these things that the Soviets have become famous for over the years on the international scene of gymnastics. And here's a front tumbling pass. That's a Rudy. She had to put her hand down. She's having some difficulties during this exercise.
Now, internationally, isn't the floor a blue color, or does the color really not make any whole significance?
It doesn't really make a difference. It is typically blue, but in this case, it isn't.
It's not a different material, though.
No, it's a different brand of floor exercise, though. That's why. Now, she's really going to need the stamina here to get through her last tumbling pass because she had some trouble in the first two. Ending with a double full to a good landing. She seems to come out of that well.
Okay, let's, while we wait for that score, we join the beam. Anderson is on the beam, and her routine is just got underway. By the way, her teammate, Maria Taylor, on the beam in the last round, just scored a 9.05. Brooke is 16 years old, a junior in high school here in town.
This is probably a fun meet for them because all their friends and family can come and join them. And that was a flight series, but if you notice, she only had 2 elements in it, so she doesn't have the major difficulty that some of the other gymnasts have. She is an elite gymnast from the state of Georgia. Punch front onto the beam. And then off, unfortunately. Again, the reason why you're seeing falls on this move, this is like the third one we've seen on a front, is because it's completely blind, and you don't know that the beam is there until your feet hit it. So you really have to have tremendous awareness in the air, and then again factor in the fact that this is 4 inches wide.
The fact that their club is hosting this event, does that add pressure to the athletes?
I'm sorry, John?
The fact that the Atlanta school is hosting this overall event, does this add pressure to the athletes? Do you want to do well in front of the home crowd?
I think it does. Of course they want to do well. All their friends and family members are here, and it's really, they're representing this meet and the Atlanta School of Gymnastics, and I think they do. A triple full, a huge dismount. Very difficult dismount.
So she jumps off the beam. We'll be back with her score. Claire Cribbs on floor earned an 8.30. Join us. We'll be right back. Welcome back to the Kodak Invitational. 2 rotations are completed during the break. We're going to have the opportunity to enjoy Amanda Borden's performance on the floor exercise. She's a member of the U.S. National Championship team. More than likely will represent the U.S. at the Olympics next year.
This is actually the compulsory floor routine, and at the 94 Team Worlds in November, she was the compulsory floor exercise champion, so she does this pretty well.
Better than anyone on the planet.
That's exactly right. She's very strong in compulsories overall, which is very important because they are weighted 60%, where optionals are weighted 40% for your total all-around score. The interesting thing to note is that after the 96 Olympic Games, there will be no compulsories.
It's coming out of the program, so this is the last time to enjoy something like this.
That's exactly right. compulsories are a mandatory routine that elite gymnasts must perform at qualifying meets and international meets in order to be ranked.
Amanda voted homecoming queen of her school this year.
She also signed a letter of intent to attend the University of Georgia, but she's going to put it on hold for a little while she trains for the 96 Olympics.
Talking about training, she came down to Atlanta with the Cincinnati team to keep up her training with her coach, but chose not to compete in the competition here.
That's right. She's saving herself for a lot of the big international meets that are coming up, and I think it's a wise decision. She's 17 years old, and she wants to save her body as much as she can. This is the last tumbling pass of the compulsory routine. And there's that radiant smile that she's become so famous for.
Amanda Borden, if her personality was shared across the whole U.S. team, U.S. squad and the gymnastics program would surely blossom. Welcome back to the Kodak Invitational. John Neighbor and Maura Driscoll as we look at our standings halfway through the competition, with Dynamo taking the lead over Cincinnati and ahead of the two teams from Australia, the Koalas and the Kangaroos. Dynamo took the lead on the basis of a great score by Shannon Miller on the uneven bars. Now in the all-around competition, Shannon's scores have put her nicely in the lead, just ahead of Rebecca Stoyle from Australia. Heather Brink, Shannon Miller teammate, is currently in third place, and two Cincinnati athletes are in fourth and fifth. Rebecca Stoyle, second place right now in the overall, performed earlier in the A grouping in the floor exercise. A great routine, Maura.
And Rebecca, again, second in the all-around at the 94 Commonwealth Games. She's one of their top athletes. She doesn't have the level of difficulty as some of the other gymnasts, but the Australian team is so clean. Very nice artistic expression. She's going to do a double pike for her first tumbling pass. Two flips in a piked position. When we say piked, we mean bending at the hips. Another little side pass, a front handspring, front layout. Rebecca actually performs 4 tumbling passes, and it's only a requirement to have 2. She kind of goes over and above the call of duty in that respect.
I should point out that Brooke Anderson's score on beam prior to our last break was a 9.175. She was the one from the host club of Atlanta School of Gymnastics.
It's easy to notice with the seasoned veterans that they have so much more confidence in their expression on the floor exercise. They just look more comfortable out there. This is her third tumbling pass. 2 front handsprings into a front full. That was a D element. She can earn 1/10 of bonus with that skill. She's not done. She has 1 more tumbling pass.
Should be noted that she was not even placed at the end of her team's rotation. They didn't think that she was the best one on the floor X, but she certainly turned in a great performance here.
Here's her last tumbling pass, a whip through to a double full. Nicely done. A nice performance.
Now you're looking live at Rosina McLaughlin as she tackled the first of 2 vaults. She's the best athlete on the Kangaroo squad, the other Australian team. Should mention Rebecca Stoyle received a 9.375 on that floor exercise routine, and that'll keep her in the running in the all-around. Zina doesn't seem too pleased with that vault.
I don't think she is. She's doing a round-off entry vault like we've seen earlier tonight. And again, she was the 94 national all-around champ in the junior division, national champion in Australia. We're going to take another look at her vault. Again, that round-off entry, good strong run is very important. And once her hands hit the horse, she needs instantaneous propulsion. Her legs are tucked. It's a tucked position and not a laid-out position.
Now let's remember, in the vault, it's the best of the 2 vault scores that are counted in the all-around and team competition. So she's going to do her second attempt now.
In a meet like this, the vault, you know, you get your competition jitters and the adrenaline flowing, and it can really help you on this event because you need that power, you need that strength, you need that push. A low score for Zina. Again, it's not worth a 10.0, so you have to keep that into consideration.
Does the actual executing the vault take a lot out of you? Is it difficult to do the second vault?
Actually, this is where you need to improve. Much nicer, straight body position, tighter legs, and a little bit more distance away. She still doesn't look that happy about it, but that was much better than the first vault.
Looked like she was about to lose balance on the landing, but she did a little side hop facing the judges. But boy, she does not seem pleased.
She doesn't at all, but we'll take another look at this here. Again, once her hands touch the horse, you need to get them off, push as hard as you can off of the horse, and she wants to have her body completely straight and completely tight. Now let's look here. It's stretched, but her knees are bent and her toes are bent. And again, you're right, she went off to the side a little, tried to save it, kind of fake it around.
We'll be back with Zena McLaughlin's score when we return for more gymnastics competition here at the Kodak Invitational. Stay with us.
This ESPN program is brought to you by Fannie Mae, showing America a new way home.
Welcome back to the Gwinnett Civic and Cultural Center in Duluth, Georgia. Just now, mounting onto the beam is Mariana Webster, a Shannon Miller teammate. The Dynamos, interestingly enough, during our last break, have received a difficult handicap in that one of their teammates injured herself in practice in warm-up just now and is pulled out of the team competition. So there's a lot of pressure on every one of these Dynamos, especially on the beam.
As if there weren't enough pressure on this event. This is definitely a pressure event, and these girls have to stay focused. If they want to stay in the lead, it's very important for them now, since all of their scores will count, as you said. Mariana got her first international medal on this event at the '94 Goodwill Games in St. Petersburg, and Steve Nuno was the only one who had gymnasts represented there. He took his entire team there. It was a big risk because it was 2 weeks before the national championship, so kudos to him because he really represented the country with his teammates, with his team members.
You said at the start of the program that the team that does best on beam is most likely to win, and Dynamo A team has taken the lead in the last rotation. Now they face the difficult hurdle that is before them.
That's right, and Cincinnati had trouble on this event, which is probably can account for them being behind Dynamo.
During the break, Zena McLaughlin from the Kangaroo squad earned an 8.3 on her second vault. That was the same score. Nice dismount.
Beautiful dismount.
Mariana Webster.
Beautiful dismount. She stuck the landing, a solid, beautiful stuck landing. That was excellent.
Excellent.
Right there with an encouraging word. You can hardly tell that he probably isn't feeling a lot of pressure to see his team win here.
I think it's easy for him. This is another look at this dismount. She gets a lot of nice height, and she anticipates the ground and just completely sticks the landing. Nice height, good rotation. She sees the ground, there her feet hit it, and she stands it right up. Nicely done.
So the 15-year-old high school freshman is done for the third rotation. Her first international medal, as you mentioned, at the Goodwill Games in St. Petersburg, Russia, late in 1984.
It's very important that the girls early up in the rotation do a good job because it really is the domino effect. The first person up, the second person up, those are the people that you really rely on to get that momentum going.
Now, normally, Mina Kim, the 13-year-old, would have gone next, but she's the girl who's pulled out of the beam contest. In the back room, she hit her head, so she's dropped out. So here is Heather Brink, who's currently third in the all-around competition here at this meet.
And this is a huge dismount. She just keeps on tumbling. Very well done. She's a very dramatic dancer on both the balance beam and the floor exercise.
Webster's mark for the beam is a 9.85. Great score. Dynamo looking in good control there.
I have to say, the rest of this routine has to seem like a piece of cake after that kind of mount. Again, on this event, it's very important to really simulate your everyday workout experience. You don't want to feel as if you're in an arena. Oh, my goodness.
Oh, that was such a simple
That was
position.
a very simple thing. And again, what happens on an event like this is you get the big tricks out of the way, and you're not paying attention to those little things, and so simply and so easily you can fall off on the easiest of skills. That's the kind of thing that Steve Nuno would be upset about.
The deduction for a fall on an easy trick is just the same as the deduction for a fall on a hard trick.
Exactly the same, and it's a 5/10 deduction for any fall off of any apparatus.
Too bad. Well, the 5/10 is about what separates the Nuno Dynamos from the Cincinnati team. Great height on that dismount.
Excellent height. She's excellent height in all of her tumbling on balance beam and on floor exercise, but she has to be extremely disappointed about that.
Well, as the team competition heats up, it's Dynamos here versus the Cincinnati squad. Let's take a look one more time.
Again, nice height on her dismount. She probably just wants to get off the beam because she just can't shake the fact that she fell in that simple move that she's done 1,000 times. A little step on the landing.
Could that pad have skidded a bit on the landing, maybe? Well, we'll never know. We'll find out soon enough. 450 is her competitive number. Heather Brink awaiting her official mark. And we go over to the floor exercise where the rivals, the Cincinnati team, Karen Litchie, member of the U.S. senior national team. She's an 18-year-old senior in high school. She's also in the all-around running.
Cincinnati team has excellent tumbling. They're very strong in floor exercise tumbling, and a lot of the credit must go to Steve Elliott, one of their coaches there. He was an excellent tumbler in his own right. And here comes a full twisting double back in the pike position. Very difficult.
Big grin on her face at the end of that routine.
She's happy to land that. I saw her over-rotated in her 3-touch warm-up, 3-minute touch. Again, on the floor exercise, explosive, powerful tumbling combined with graceful and elegant and dynamic floor dance movements. And the front tumbling, that was a double full. Very difficult to do.
Heather Brink's score on the beam just came in at a 9.175. Not a good score, but probably won't toss them out of the lead.
Some dramatic movement and poses on the floor exercise here. Well, she sets up for her final tumbling run. More front tumbling, a Rudy that was 1.5 twists into a back layout. A very nice job. It looks like she had fun out there, too.
And so Karen Litchie completes her floor exercise routine. We'll have that score, plus performances by Shannon Miller and J.C. Phelps when we return. Welcome back. Litchie's score on the floor, 9.625. Everyone is watching now as Shannon Miller comes up for her third rotation. A beam routine that ought to knock our socks off.
She is the current world champion on this event, so it doesn't get much better than this. In her mount, a front on into an immediate jump. A little bit of a pause there, but not a big deal at all. Shannon is so precise, deliberate, exact on this event, and that is why she is the world champion. Look at her toes and her legs. You'll never see them separate at all.
Every detail.
Her hand positioning, her body positioning, the way that she straightens her legs. And here comes her tumbling pass. That handspring, lay out, step out to a perfect landing. She also owns a silver medal on this event from the '92 Olympic Games.
5 medals won at those games, but not a gold medal at the Olympic level. But she's won more gold medals at World Championships than any other American.
That's correct.
We should remind you again that her club, the Dynamos, only have 4 contestants for the rest of the meet, and they're counting the top 4 scores. No room for mistakes here.
I don't think we can expect much mistake from Shannon. The one thing she was having trouble with during warm-ups was her full twisting double back dismount, which is coming up. And she had problems with it at USA Championships. She put her hands down, so she doesn't want to under-rotate. And she doesn't. A step on the landing, but she'd rather be a little over-rotated than under-rotated.
There's a big hug from Steve Nuno. Shannon Miller is now 3/4 of the way through. Now J.C. Phelps is our final performer on the floor exercise in this rotation. And she is the best hope for Cincinnati to regain the team lead.
But remember, she's performing all new tumbling passes, and this first one is just incredible, incredibly difficult, and very difficult to land and do well because it's front tumbling. She's going to do a front through to a front handspring double front, and I'll explain as soon as you see it. and she sat it down. In warm-ups, they saw her stick it. See, again, this is really unfortunate, but this is the kind of meet that they're going to take these risks. She's not qualifying for Olympic trials. It's not a world championship event. This is the meet that you need to fine-tune those skills.
Now, she landed on a little crash pad, a very narrow one. We don't see that in international competition.
No, it's not allowed in international competition, but we're going by what's called age group rules, and that is allowed in this competition. And her second tumbling pass is a double full. That's also new, a front double full.
Shannon Miller's mark, by the way, on the beam, a 9.9. Highest score of the meet so far.
A great score. JC's a little bit more reserved than her elder teammate Amanda Borden on this event. If anyone's familiar with her, she's very outgoing and radiant. But I think as JC gets more comfortable, she'll feel more comfortable with her dance and expression. Though she's quite elegant for a 15-year-old. Her final tumbling pass, a triple full, very difficult tumbling. She's having a little difficulty on the landings, but overall, some new stuff, and she did a good job.
A finish with a flourish. We'll be back with J.C. Phelps' score on the floor exercise, and we'll see how these teams are doing in the overall quest for the team title. Back at the Kodak Invitational, one rotation remains. Dynamo is still holding the lead over Cincinnati in the team competition. And in the individual all-around action, to no one's great surprise, Shannon Miller has a very commanding lead. Karen Litchie is now in second place, and J.C. Phelps dropped out of the running with her 9.225 on the floor exercise.
Okay. And really show this off. We'll put a lot of work into it. Let's show it, okay? Most important is good, clean tumbling, and then really get into the routine, okay? All right, let's get it. Come on now.
In spite of all of Shannon Miller's already success, she does rely heavily on Steve Nuno for that little pre-event pep talk.
And this is the debut of a brand new routine for her for the 1995 season. Her first tumbling pass, she's going to try to include a lot into that diagonal spot. So 2 whip backs through a fill in.
Shannon Miller already has the high score in 3 of the 4 individual events. This is the one she has not yet performed. We'll see if she can do it. 9.675 is the current high score by Karen Litchie, who's currently in second in the all-around.
My guess that Shannon knows that she needs this great floor routine to make it a sweep, and she's such an intense competitor. She's going to go after that right now.
All these young pre-teens sitting around the floor yelling, "Go Shannon."
A reminder that she was the 1993 world champion on the floor exercise. And watch for this first tumbling pass. It's a lot of tumbling. 2 whip backs, flip-flop, flip-flop, full twisting, double back to a great landing. And here comes the personality. Here comes the showing off that Steve Nuno was talking about. Into another immediate tumbling pass, a Rudy through to a layout. And a smile. The audience is really getting involved. This is a jazzy type exercise. Shannon's old routine was very classical and elegant, more balletic, and now she's really involving the crowd. This is a fun thing for her. Her third tumbling pass, a front full to immediate front handspring. It's not over. She too will be doing 4 tumbling passes.
Ooh, a little bobble.
A little bobble. Gymnastics team gets some choreography help from a Romanian choreographer, Irena Mulligadru, as well as Peggy Liddick. Originally, she was supposed to end with a full twisting double back. Let's see if she goes for it here. She ends with a double pike, a little safer, but a perfect landing. And a dynamic performance for Shannon Miller. Very uncharacteristic floor routine for her. I really enjoyed it.
That might just be the thing to turn some of the judges a little bit more towards her.
No, that was wild.
So you stepped in that hole.
Again, Steve right there at the edge. Let's take a look at that last routine, that last tumbling run.
This is her final tumbling run. She takes a little breather. Remember, she did 4 tumbling passes. Just incredible. Takes a tremendous amount of stamina. A double pike, 2 flips backward in a pike position, tight body, and she lands it very well. She really showed it off tonight.
All right. Good job. All right.
And so now we look over at the vault, the final performer from Cincinnati, Karen Litchie.
Soon she will be a Georgia resident. She'll become a member of the University of Georgia Bulldog women's gymnastic team. They're currently ranked #1 in the country.
Now Cincinnati, although Litchie will be unable to take the individual all-around, her score here might help Cincinnati go by Dynamo for the all-around team title.
Her first vault is a handspring front in the pike position. Oh, she was anticipating the landing. Remember, in front tumbling or front flipping, you cannot see the ground. So she was opening up thinking it was there, and she did it a little too soon.
Oh, there's a happy smile from Shannon Miller. She knows she's done for the day. Put on the sweatsuit. 9.80, a good score, the best score so far in that event. Now, Rebecca Stoyle was in 3rd place in the individual all-around. She performed in the other flight. And let's take a look at her first vault. This was her final rotation, and she earned a 9.3 here.
Rebecca's team had a tough time on this event, and they were really depending on their seasoned pro. It's a round-off entry, layout, nice body position, good height and decent distance away from the vault. Again, not worth a 10.0, so a 9.3 is a decent score.
So now our attention goes back to Karen Litchie, her second vault attempt. Remember, she sat down on the end of her first one.
So it's unknown at this point if she's going to add a half twist. That was the plan originally, but because she didn't make her first vault, she may not perform the front pike with a half, which she was intending to do. Again, you get to keep the highest score, so it's better to play it safe in this vault for her, probably.
Now, Shannon Miller is the current high score in the vault at a 9.575. If she can outscore that, she can deny Shannon the victory in that individual event. It'd be a pretty good vault.
It would have to be a pretty good vault. This vault is valued at a 9.8 if she does the front pike. And she does the front pike and lands it perfectly.
That might be enough. That might knock Shannon out of the gold medal spot in that individual event. And she is done, as is the Cincinnati squad right now.
And one note about that Cincinnati squad is they sorely missed the scores of Amanda Borden.
That's a good point. Amanda Borden could have made the difference in this team contest.
This is her second vault. She gets a good push off of the horse. Nice tight pike. Excellent distance. Low on the landing a little. And that could hurt her in her score. There's the pre-flight. She pushes off the horse. Nice pike. Very tight. Tight legs. She opens up, anticipates the landing, but then has to kind of crunch down a little.
Good job. They were good, right?
Karen Litchie and some other Cincinnati teammates also go to the same high school. They probably rule the school, and a few of her other teammates are also going to the University of Georgia with her. It's kind of a trend with Mary Lee Tracy's team.
There's Amanda Borden, who sat on the sidelines during the competition. 9.625. That's a gold medal in the individual event for Karen Litchie, upsetting Shannon Miller in that particular event. But unfortunately for the Cincinnati squad, those points are not sufficient to win the overall team competition. 9.625, a gold medal for her, but Shannon Miller might have taken the Dynamos all the way to the victory. Welcome back. The scores are official. Steve Nuno's Dynamo squad wins the team competition over Cincinnati. The Australian Koalas finished in 3rd. In the individual all-around competition, it was Shannon Miller, a near-perfect performance. Karen Litchie in 2nd place. Let's go down to Maura Driscoll, who's got the winning team.
Here with the Dynamo Gymnastics Club and the all-around champion, Shannon Miller. Shannon, congratulations on yet another all-around title to add to your list of accomplishments. You performed some new skills tonight. Were you happy with the way things turned out?
Yeah, I was pleased with my competition today.
Let's talk about the upcoming season, 1995. You're going to be trying to upgrade your routines and add some more difficulty. What things will you be focusing on as you head towards the Olympics?
Mostly adding more difficulty into all my optional routines.
Now, as a team competition, this is an unusual thing because gymnastics is usually an individual sport. Was it fun to contribute for an overall team score?
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. I think it's more fun competing for a team.
Thank you very much, and congratulations to all of you tonight. John?
That Dynamo victory even more impressive when you remember they were one athlete short for half the contest. We'll be back with the team award ceremonies and a final comment after this. Nuno's Dynamo victory was a true team effort with great marks from everybody, a first, third, and fourth, and the all-around, and young Mina Kim, well, she'll be a factor in the years ahead.
For Shannon Miller, this meet in Atlanta, Georgia had special significance, for this is the place where she'd like to end her career in 1996.
Olympics just a year away. For more Driscoll, I'm John Neighbor. Thanks for watching.